Truly, truly inspiring stuff. And there's nothing like a video like that to make you feel truly, truly old. Um, anyway, our peer leader teams are doing inspiring work promoting equity in their communities. This work does not stop when they become alumni, as our first guest, can attest. Jess Solomon is not only an alumna of College Summit, which is Peer Forward's former name, she also interned with the organization during college. Jess attended a workshop in 1999, and after graduating from high school, she went on to get her bachelor's in communication studies and African American studies at University of Maryland College Park, followed by a master's in organizational development from the American University. She is now an organization development practitioner and cultural steward, helping develop more impactful, creative, and equitable organizations to meet this moment. Jess is known for her adaptive leadership and holistic creative approach to organizational development and systems level change. Since 2015, her firm Art and Praxis has facilitated change at the nexus of arts and culture, social justice, and philanthropy, building capacity for people and organizations to advance social change and culture. Good evening, Jess. Thank you so much for being with us here today. How are you doing?
Gordon, I'm well. It's great to be here. That video was great, and I feel a little old. So I'm excited to jump in the conversation about my time with College Summit, also known as Peer Forward.
Excellent. No, we're really excited to have you too. So Jess, why did you go to College Summit workshop?
Yeah, I think it's important to set the context, right? I participated at George Washington University in 1999. And there was no Facebook or TikTok. The internet was still a hobby. I can remember typing out my college essay on a typewriter at one point. I definitely didn't have a cell phone. I lived and went to high school in Baltimore. And so it was a big deal for me to go to DC to this thing that the flyer looked great. But I knew that I wanted to go to college and my family wanted me to go to college, but I didn't know how to get there. And so that was the whole premise of the workshop. So that was why I decided to go. It felt like it was worth the risk.
Absolutely, yeah. So you're kind of just the right place at the right time, and
Yep.
you took a leap for it. That's amazing. Why did you stay involved with the organization?
Well, I was really hooked by the community and people I met at the workshop. I met people who um, went to my high school. I met people who went to high school in DC. I got a chance to really sit down and think about what I wanted for my future. At 16, 17 years old, that's a big deal. And I
Mhm.
got to do it in a space with other young people who were also thinking about that for themselves. And then, I took all those tools and applied to a bunch of schools and got into a bunch of schools. And then I was really hooked because I knew that the formula worked. I even got my younger cousin involved in College Summit after she watched me um, go to college and graduate. And so that felt like kind of a full circle moment for me as well.
Absolutely. You had your own peer moment right there. You
I
were able to
did.
be a
I
peer
did. I
parent.
was I was a peer leader before it was a peer leader. Yes.
Exactly. Trend setting indeed. So on that note, I mean, how did you see the concept of the peer leadership development from your first workshop through your time into volunteer as well with the organization?
Yeah. So once I started college, I came back and as alumni leader, and I see a few of my folks in the chat who are also alumni leaders with me. Um, and then from there, I think I served in every role at a workshop. It felt like it was a rites of passage almost to move on to those different roles. And then I came back as a staff member full time, supporting programs and development, and learning a lot about nonprofit leadership. And while I was on staff, I really got to see the evolution of peer leadership. I think when I came around in 1999, College Summit at the time was still kind of growing into itself. There was a formula, we knew it worked, I knew it worked, but there was also something around the participants, how to get um, the folks who go through the experience to really go back and feel compelled to not only talk about the workshop, but really get their friends and peers involved. And not just their friends, but people who they may share lunch period with, or the bus ride back home with, but really thinking about, that responsibility as a participant to come back and bring people along with you. So I got to see that take shape in a lot of different ways in my different roles at College Summit at the time.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I mean, how did your experience with the program, prepare you, specifically for your journey into college and your career after that?
Well, I think, even as a participant, you had to stand up and talk about who you were, who you are and your story, and just those opportunities to practice, public speaking, practice leading. Those were early memories, looking at the rap directors, who were the people who really facilitated the deep conversations at nighttime, like looking at who, and they looked like me and they were young and they were fun, and seeing that those are real roles and
Mhm.
real things that I could possibly do. It wasn't something that was made up. Like I see this person. For me, it really kind of set the tone for how I approach my work, and also, what does it mean to be a facilitator? And that can be in a lot of different ways. So yeah, Peer Forward College Summer really opened me up to kind of reimagining what professionalism looks like, what professional
Right.
development looks like, at a time where I didn't know what that was. So
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned your work as well. I mean, can you tell us a bit more about the work you're doing at Art and Praxis? What inspired you to start that organization?
sure. Actually, my rap director, Teresa Atta, who was my boss at College Summit, she was in a graduate program studying organization development. And I was like, what is that? And I looked it up and I said, oh, this feels right. This feels like something I want to do.
Mhm.
And so that started me on my scholarly journey, and ultimately developing my own company. And so, what Art and Praxis does is that we are an organizational development firm, and we work with change makers around aligning culture, strategy, and process to build their capacity to do better work. We feel like um, amazing transformative work cannot happen it can't be incubated inside of dry, uninspired spaces.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, no, yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think it's really important that, the mental and the physical, spaces that we work in and that we, learn in, it's really important. Um, well, yeah, I mean, thank you, Jess, again for talking to us tonight. It's truly been
Question,
a pleasure. You have
I
a
have a
question for
question for
me?
you,
Please,
Jordan.
fire away.
Um,
Yes.
what is your hope for we'll say the near future of Peer Forward? In your role with the Leadership Council, what do you hope to see in the next 2 years as it relates to peer leadership development, or just the growth of the Leadership Council? Like, what do you see for the organization?
That's a great question. First, in the first part about the future of the organization, I think this past year has been truly transformational in the expansion to a global organization. We're in the Caribbean now with Bermuda. But for me personally, I think that the expansion into the college is very important. I think that the organization has quickly recognized that while the high school program got students into college, got them through the door, there was a lack of continued support there. And similar to the challenges that the students have in high school, freshmen and sophomores found navigating and accessing financial, academic, and even healthcare aid very challenging, and many started to drop out.
Mhm.
So I think that Gary and the company, are true visionaries in identifying this program, and I think that the organization is on a very upward trajectory. For us in the Leadership Council, we're currently 11, dedicated volunteers. I'd love if we were 111, so that we can just spread the work, more and get to more schools, volunteer in more places, have more fundraisers, and just keep the momentum, of the organization moving forward as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Sorry, I almost cut you off there as well. Didn't get a chance to ask me a question. But thank you again. It has been a true pleasure talking to you tonight.